Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Throwdown. It's the June 20th, 2020 edition. I'm Caleb Black. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams, our in-studio producer Max Fury, and it is time for the Rec of the Week. To recap, last week's recommendation was DIY versus formerly known as The Revival.
Did you watch it?
NXT TakeOver Toronto.
Because if they watched it, there's really nothing we can tell them.
It was the one match of the year. It was an incredible tag team match. If you love tag team wrestling, again, that was our rec last week. Check it out.
I hearken that being kind of like today's version of like the Brainbusters, Tully and Arn versus
against the Midnight or the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Totally agreed.
Great match.
We are going to talk right now, though, our rec of the week. We're going to give you two. I'm going to pick one, and he's going to pick one. Max, did you want to pick one?
I don't have one this week.
Okay, well, next week you'll have one. Luke, why don't you give us your rec of the week?
My rec of the week, it took place October the 25th, 1998, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Paradise, Nevada. It was WCW Halloween Havoc. There's a match that if you bought the pay-per-view, you didn't get to see.
That's right.
It was Goldberg, the champion, taking on Diamond Dallas Page in a championship match that went 10 minutes, 29 seconds.
Yep.
It was probably the best 10-minute, 29-second match of the entire year of 1998.
Agreed. From both companies, bar none.
What had happened is it was predecessed by the Ultimate Warrior
and Hulk
Hogan rematch that was god-awful. They did the entrances, everything. They went to lock up. They went to spill out of the ring, and the feed cut.
Can I cut in real quick?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite pay-per-views, and that's because every single match you had Kevin Nash against Scott Hall.
Yep.
You had Sting against Bret Hart.
Yep.
The entire card was.
Well, brilliant. You had the Giant and Scott versus Rick and Buff.
Yeah.
Kidman versus Disco Inferno. Yep. Fit Finlay and Alex Wright.
Chris Jericho.
Wrath versus Ming.
Which would have been a fight.
Jericho and Raven.
Yeah, the whole card was just. And the way they really crescendoed up to the main event was just like the last four matches. And granted, the Hogan and Warrior match was bad, but the billing of the show itself was just big match, big match, big match, big match. One of my all-time favorite pay-per-views, and actually, my favorite match on that card isn't DDP and Goldberg. It's Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. This is why. Because the biggest pop up to that point, excluding the Goldberg and DDP pops, was Kevin Nash just ripping his shirt off, looking at Scott Hall while he's in the turnbuckle and going,
I agree.
It was fantastic.
Good match, but again, my rec.
Yep.
DDP and Goldberg.
Yep.
He was, in my opinion, the first legit threat.
Agreed.
To Goldberg's championship reign, and who would have thunk it 2 months later, Goldberg's streak come to an end.
They should have just had it.
It was the last, in my opinion, the last big match feel for Goldberg's title match.
We've talked about this a lot. DDP should have broken the streak.
Yes, he should have.
DDP should have.
He was the everyman's worker. But it went 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 29 seconds. Yep. It is the best 10 minutes and 29 seconds.
And it's a fucking thrill ride for 11 minutes. It is a thrill ride all the way through.
WWE journalist at the time, Kevin Powers, hailed the bout as the best ever held at Halloween Havoc, saying it's hard to believe that thousands of pay-per-view customers missed the main event of Halloween Havoc 98 because WCW ran out of broadcast time.
Yep.
By some cruel twist of fate, fans didn't got to watch the disastrous WrestleMania 6 rematch between Warrior and Hogan, only to have their screens go black just as Diamond Dallas Page and Goldberg went into their 10-minute match. It's a great match. It said if more TVs carried this match, maybe Hogan and Warrior Disaster would be an afterthought.
Completely agreed.
But great match. DDP, prime of his career. Goldberg, height of his popularity. Check it out.
Yeah,
it's good. It's worth a watch. Watch the whole card, but that's the match I would recommend.
That's the best one. My rec of the week, ironically, also took place at the MGM Grand Arena in lovely Paradise, Nevada.
Paradise.
But it took place
so nice
about 20 years later.
Okay.
May 25th, 2019, AEW's inaugural Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Now, talk all day about the things that I don't like about AEW. We can talk all day about the things that people like that they shouldn't like. However, there's a match on this card that if you love modern wrestling with that old school big fight feel, it was Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
And let me tell you, the brothers broke the china.
Oh, yeah.
They burned the house down. It was fantastic. It was emotional. It was charged. It was a great outing for Dustin because that was the first real big singles match he'd had after leaving the WWE.
Was the first big match he had since leaving the WWE.
And really, I think it was the biggest singles match of his entire career, with the exception of maybe his match against Roddy Piper.
Or his Intercontinental Championship match against Razor
Ramon. The match is just great from bell to bell. You're into it, and they don't stop for a second. And
No,
then
they
Cody,
really don't.
After the match, cuts a really great emotional promo, telling Dustin, I've got a match coming up with the Young Bucks, and I don't need a tag team partner. I don't need a best friend.
I need my brother.
I need my older brother. And they both got tears in their eyes, and Dustin's bleeding like a stuck pig because man gets colored like it's going out of style.
They actually thought about stopping the match twice.
They did,
from what I understand.
but they didn't stop it. Watch the match. It's such a fun ride.
And not to mention, while you're there, watch the whole card. I mean, at the end of that entire night, you crown the first AEW champion in
With
Jericho.
Chris Jericho against
And
Hangman Adam
Moxley.
Page.
Moxley shows up.
And Moxley makes his debut. It's a great show. Check it out. Tell us what you think about our Rex of the Week down below by leaving us a comment after you hit the like and subscribe button. Subscribe.
Ninjas need not apply.
Ninjas need not subscribe.
All ninjas.
Actually, no. Also subscribe.
All ninjas.
Well, subscribe, but no pictures.
Send us an email at prowrestlingthrowdown@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook. Like us at facebook.com prowrestlingthrowdown.
Man knows what he's talking about.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. We hope you enjoyed the episodes.
Hopefully next week it won't be so heavy.
We hope not.
Or we're just going to turn all the lights out here and do it by candlelight.
Now, we don't have any more Bill Bronson videos that we're going to share after this one because we've given you the full Rolodex, but don't worry. We're going to find another guest relatively soon. We've got a couple of feelers out. Stay tuned. Stay healthy this week. Remember to hydrate. It's going to be hot.
Yes, and as always, he's going down.
6 to 5. 6 to 5.
Ninjas.
6 to 5.